Hi, Yoram here again. I wanted to give you another video on how to get your sound and your video in sync. I did a video like this in the past, but it works in some cases, not in other cases, especially with Zoom. There were a few issues with it. This is where I showed you how to use the virtual audio cable. And I'm going to show you something else. It's actually better. It's a very elegant solution. Let me just go straight into it. So first of all, I'll make myself small. Okay, now you're wondering, how did I do that? This is not post video editing. This is actually something that I did with OBS. This is an OBS plugin. We'll get to that in another video because OBS is really a great platform that allows you to put a lot of plugins and do different features. Okay, so this is essentially how you typically would connect to Zoom. You have a microphone going into microphone input, and you have a camera going into your camera input into Zoom. And this is it, but it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility of bringing your PowerPoint in with you with the camera and doing things like what I'm doing right now is essentially live. Okay, so when we put OBS, this is essentially what happens. The microphone that could go and still is going directly into Zoom, but it also goes through OBS to video processing, so you can do all kinds of things to the voice, and it's being processed inside of OBS. The camera, on the other hand, does not go straight into Zoom. It goes into Zoom through OBS. Now, both outputs, audio and video, go into your ability to record. So if you're using the record function for OBS, then this is what you're going to record. Both audio and video are already going to be processed inside of OBS. So microphone goes straight. And the reason is because this output here is really just an internal output. You don't see it very well here, but it's an internal output. It does not really go out. So if you looked at Zoom to try and get OBS as a microphone input, you're not going to find one of them. Hopefully at some point, OBS will just add an output that you can plug into Zoom. But right now, the only thing you can do with the output from OBS is either record it through OBS or stream it to any of the applications that you used for streaming, but Zoom is not one of them. Okay, I'll move on. What I offered the last time, what I suggested the last time, was that we get something that's called virtual cable, because virtual cable does take some output out of OBS, and it's just a piece of software that takes cable in from OBS and then cable out goes into Zoom, and voila, you get the microphone through OBS and into Zoom and not directly. However, this is where I thought that the audio is coming out of OBS and into virtual cable. This is what actually happens. It's really just a monitor. And being a monitor, what it means is that you are getting exactly what the microphone is putting. None of the processing is taking place. And specifically, the processing of sync or moving the camera, the sound, the audio versus video, that is not handled at this point yet. So for recording purposes, I can play with it, I can change it, and I can move the video and audio around to get them in sync or out of sync, whatever I prefer. But that's only for the recording, not to go into Zoom. So what I'm going to show you today is something instead of virtual cable, and something that's called NDI. NDI, there are two parts to NDI. One of them is a plugin, and even though I don't show it here, it's actually something that's installed into OBS. This is capable of taking the output after the processing, and part of that processing is the sync itself, synchronizing audio and video. Take this and send it out separately, audio and video, into Zoom or any other application. I'm not going to go too deep into what NDI is, but NDI essentially is a way to send video and audio over Ethernet. So you may be wondering, what does that have to do with Ethernet? It's not only through Ethernet, and we're going to use it in a different application. Now, what I'm going to show you now is how to do everything. And if you want to be successful, you have to do it exactly the way I describe it. You forget one step, you do it out of order, it's just not going to work. But that's why I'm recording that video. So you will have it in order, in the right order. So the first thing is, when you go into Zoom, there's something that I want you to check, and that is that you have the latest version of Zoom. Zoom comes out with new versions, and so the way to know is when you launch the app, not the website, the app, you have a picture of yourself up here. Click on that picture of yourself. This is left mouse click, and everything I'm showing you here is for Windows. Left mouse click, it will open this screen, this menu, and you have help. Click on help, about Zoom, and once you hit about Zoom, you're going to see the version. Just so that you know, they're making a lot of changes. Obviously, nobody was using Zoom as much as they do now during this pandemic, and will probably be using it a lot in the future. So they're catching up with all kinds of functions that need to be added into Zoom. Just so that you know, I got a notification, download version 5.4.2. By the time I got to download it, and we're talking hours, by the time I got to download it, the version that downloaded was 5.4.3. So it was already another version, and we're talking hours. So do this just to see that you have the right version. And you know what? If you don't have the latest version, or you're just not sure, just click on check for updates right under the help, and you're going to get the latest version. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is, if I go back, we need to have the NDI plugin for OBS. So what we'll do is, I would just go OBS NDI plugin. That's it. If you Google OBS NDI plugin, you're going to get straight to this window, to this screen or website. And this is what you want to get. The current version is 4.9.1. Hopefully that's the version that, if it's going to be a new version, whatever the version is, this is what you download. It does show that this is a 2017, but I'm downloading it in December of 2020, and that's still the current version. There's probably not a lot that will change over time. So this is what you want to download. And what happens after you click on that, the download, there is a go to download right here. And once you click on the go to download, this is what you'll get. I'm doing a Windows installation, so I just install this part. I just clicked on that, and when I clicked on that, the file that got downloaded is this, OBS NDI. Actually, it's 4.9.0. That's the available version. So this is what got downloaded, and I clicked on it and installed it. And the next thing I did was I launched OBS. And when I launched OBS, I went to Tools, and I saw this. There was one more tool here, NDI output setting. This is Virtual Cam. You've seen that before. There is an Elgato remote control for OBS. That is Stream Deck. And so there are all kinds of things that are installed, tools that are installed on OBS, but you will see the NDI output setting. Click on that, and this window will open up. You need to check main output, and this would be the place where you're going to give it a name. So I just gave it the name OBS. I probably could have given it the name OBS NDI plugin or whatever, but that's the name I'm going to recognize it with, and you're going to see that this name comes back. So I have just enabled NDI, it's already installed, enabled the plugin to give me a main output called OBS. So now OBS puts out video and audio in NDI format. One thing that I want you to remember is, since version 2.6 of OBS, there are a few changes, 26, I'm sorry, not 2.6. There are a few changes. OBS is evolving as well. One of them is that the button that starts the virtual camera, first of all, virtual camera doesn't start by itself. You actually have to press it. And I want you to just remember that when you launch OBS, make sure that you click on Start Virtual Camera. That would put the output out altogether. Next part is, now we need the NDI part that would plug into Zoom, the other side of NDI. So go to the website called ndi.tv, or just if you Google NDI tools, it's going to get you here. So this is the website. We're going to scroll down. There's a lot of scrolling down until you get to NDI tools. And in NDI tools, I'm taking the Windows version. There is a bunch of tools, and the one that you really care about is NDI Virtual Input. This is the one you care about, but they download as one package. Now, as soon as you click on it, it's actually going to ask for your first name, last name, email address, country, industry, and prove that you're not a robot, which I'm not sure how you can prove that you're not a robot, because if the robot was smart enough, it would click that button anyway, and I don't know what the ethical bar for a robot is, and I am digressing, and this is why my videos are so long. So we're going to move on. The next thing that's going to happen, and it is important, you do have to fill this because you don't get directly to the download link. You do that, and you will get an email to the email address that you gave here. This is what the email looks like. And unless you realize that this word link here is in a different color, you're going to think that you didn't get anything. This is actually the link to download NDI, the NDI tools. So again, do the download, choose the download, whatever download you need, fill in the information, make sure you have the right email address. You get an email. In that email, open this link, and this is the piece of software that's going to be downloaded. I think it's about 150 something megabytes. And then you click on it to install it, and you're going to get this window. Now, the default is actually just to download webcam input, which is what we need, really. I checked every box here because there are other tools that come with NDI that I really thought were really, really cool. But just be careful with one thing. Those things take processing power. And if your laptop or desktop computer is not strong enough, you don't want to have too many things running at the same time. One of my rule of thumbs, by the way, when I do a webinar or deliver a workshop or anything, is I try as much as possible to, first of all, restart my computer and then allow and open only windows and apps and websites that I need for that webinar, so that I do not overtax my computer. Okay, once you install this, you will need to restart your computer so that NDI will become a tool that exists. The next thing that you do is you're going to after the restart, if you click on the Windows the Windows icon here, you're going to have all of the applications that are installed. So again, I installed everything NDI had, which I think some of them are really, really cool. But regardless, this is the one that you need. So you need to click on this. But this is kind of funny because you're going to click on it and nothing's going to happen. And you're going to see that the computer has worked on it for a few seconds, but nothing's going to happen. Actually, something did happen. And this is what happened. When you show what you have in your system tray, so this little up arrow, and unless you just decided to have everything up there, you're going to see this little golden NDI logo. Right click on that logo. If you have not installed the NDI plugin or did not enable OBS, and OBS is not running right now, this is what you're going to see. No NDI sources found. Because we need OBS to put out an NDI signal, audio and video, so that we can send it over to Zoom. And if you didn't do that, if you didn't enable OBS or start OBS and have the OBS NDI plugin running, you remember checking that box called output, then you're not going to have anything. So now we have it. If we have it, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the name of your computer. Mine is called Yoram G7. And you're going to see OBS, and you're going to click on OBS. And once you click on OBS, now OBS is an existing NDI output. While you're doing this, here are a couple more things you want to do. Scroll down to video. I found that the default was 720p at 30 frames per second. I changed it to 1080p at 30 frames per second, full HD. The second one is go to audio. So again, this is right click on this little NDI logo in the system tray. Click on audio, and you can play with the signal, with the loudness of your video. This is the default 0 dB. Minus infinite dB is really mute. You can have +6, +10, +20. Somebody was telling me after the first time that I used that I was a little too soft, so I went with +6 dB. Something to keep in mind. Let's go back into Zoom, and when we go into Zoom, what do we want to click? We're going to click on settings here, and when we click on settings, we're going to get this. If you go to video, you will find that one of your options now is New Tech NDI Video. So this is going from OBS into NDI, and now finally we have an NDI video input. Next one is you're going to go to audio, and as your microphone, you're going to choose the line New Tech NDI audio. Now you have both audio and video coming from NDI, and NDI is taking it off of OBS. Another place to do it is here. If you already get the app running or a meeting running, is just check the New Tech NDI video. And same with audio, with the microphone. So make sure that the microphone now is your line New Tech NDI audio. If you forgot to do that, not if you forgot to do that, but if you have it set for line, yet OBS is not running, this is what Zoom is going to show you. It's going to say your microphone is not working. Please check your connection or use another microphone, because NDI is not giving out anything. It's not that it's quiet, it's not giving out anything. But if OBS is running, then this is not going to show anything. Next part is we are going to right click on, here I'm using Blue Yeti as the input, but it doesn't matter. Each one of those little cogwheels at the bottom in my appropriate scene, I'm going to right click on it and then choose Advanced Audio Properties. And when I do that, this is the window that's going to open. And that window has right now two microphones. It has the Blue Yeti and it has another microphone that's coming into my laptop. I'm not using that one, but it says that these are the active ones. You can uncheck this box and see your inactive sources as well. It's just too much to see. You can pan it, you can make it mono, which means that you're going to get the same thing in both channels. When you pan it, you left goes to left, right goes to right, and this is where you can play with sync. And this time, I'm not going to talk about different tracks because you can have different tracks, and I'm going to remind you that you need to have monitor and output. If you don't have monitor and output, really it's monitor off, and if you have monitor off, then you don't get anything coming out of OBS sound-wise. This is how I'm going to play with it. Well, what do I get? If this is kind of, we have the microphone, we have the camera, they're happening at the same time. So one of the things that I like to do when I edit videos is to synchronize the video and audio is do this. I do 3 claps, and when you do 3 claps, this shows up very well when you do video editing. But for this purpose, I'm just doing it to show you that when the microphone and the camera captures it, they're going to be in sync. But as they're going through audio processing, for some reason, whatever plugins you have here, whatever plugins you have there, and I will shoot a video on plugins, they are not going to be in sync, and that's the problem. Well, plus, if you have a positive number here, it's going to move audio to the right. It's going to make it later. If you're going to have a minus number, right now I have minus 950 milliseconds, it's going to move the audio earlier. So when you feel that you don't have good sync between your audio and your video, what you want to do is change this number here until the point where they feel like they're the same. There are 2 ways that I use to do that. One of them is have another computer logged into the same Zoom call, and I'm just looking at that computer, even putting a microphone in not a microphone in my ear, that's not going to work, a headphone in my ear, and I'm looking at that other computer. I'm saying something, and then I'm looking at what it looks like and see what, if I'm in sync or not. Another way is just to ask somebody on the other side of the call. You tell me what seems to happen earlier, sound or audio, audio or video, and then you adjust it appropriately. One thing to keep in mind, that misalignment can be different at different times because of the processing that your computer is doing right now, because you have a different setup, or because of any other reason. So it always helps to do that at the beginning of a call to make sure that you are synchronized. One last thing is, I want you to take a look when you're running OBS at these numbers down here. 30 frames per second is great. If for any reason you're getting 60 frames per second, don't set it for 60 frames per second. Nobody needs that. This is not what goes through Zoom. But you do want to also watch your 4.6% here. Your numbers might be higher. This is how much of the processing power of my computer is being used to handle OBS. And if we're getting a high number here, that means that your computer might be a little erratic and things may chop and so on. So I have a pretty powerful computer that I use for video editing. I have 4.6%. One last time is summary. This is going to be the new configuration. Microphone, camera, they go directly into OBS. Audio processing. One of the things that I use for audio processing, for example, is my, let's see if I can play with it right now. I'll play with the filter for, I'm using an equalizer, so I can play with the equalizer. So now you're probably not hearing a lot of my lower tones, and now you're getting a lot more bass, less reverb, not reverb, less treble, now more treble, and so on. So there are all kinds of things that you can use on all kinds of plugins. The changing between my main and back into the small one is another plugin for transitions. I'll do plugins on a different video, just wanted you to know. So if we're back to our diagram here, microphone and camera, they go straight here. This is the processing that's happening in OBS for broadcasting. The output, you can record straight out of OBS within OBS by pressing the OBS record button. But we're going to install the NDI plugin, or we have installed the NDI plugin. So now we have both audio and video coming out of NDI. We have the NDI tool, or the virtual input, installed, and now Zoom recognizes it. And now we can really control the shift, the delay, or the sync between audio and video. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know if there's anything else that I can shoot videos for. And may trust be with you. Take care.